right, well, thank you. And my name's Craig Simonson, and on behalf of the Kitchigami Club and Pure Clean, we want to welcome everyone to the fourth Entrepreneur Club event. And for those of you that don't know me, I began a commercial cleaning company at the age of 21 while attending the University of Minnesota Duluth, and that both operates in Duluth and the Twin Cities region. Regarding Club E, Rick Brimacombe founded this group back in 2007, and Rick has been doing venture capital deals for over 20 years and helps refine strategies, assemble resources, and secure some funding. However, before we get to today's session, I would like to thank our partners and sponsor, Brimacombe and Associates. Without their support, events like this could not be happening. Some announcements before we get to the fun Pechakucha today. Remember to RSVP online, usually around the 1st of the month. Then we can be prepared for what's coming the next month. Connecting with us on Club E website after each of these events, we have a YouTube video section. Rick's done a great job of providing some online resources. We have a LinkedIn group that's Club E specific for Duluth. It's Club Entrepreneur Duluth. That you feel free to join and become a part of that online community. We have a lot of fun articles and ideas. Rick posts on there, shares some ideas from Club Entrepreneur in Minneapolis. We have a growing Facebook group, as you guys probably have seen, and then we're on Meetup. The last thing is the email list, so you can definitely find out what we're doing. We'll send out an email after the event today about next month's event. And next month we are going to be speaking on building and utilizing effective boards. We have some absolute rock stars coming up talking about how we are going to be able to do that as business owners, entrepreneurs, and just asking questions to some great people that have a ton of experience in being on boards. So today I'm excited to introduce 4 entrepreneurs, and John's going to be coming up for our first speaker, and he has some exciting stuff to share with us, and I'll let him introduce himself. If you want to set that up, and then go ahead and just leave, but once you click it, it goes for like 20 seconds.
All right.
But otherwise, you have to do that.
Let's do this. Okay, can everyone hear me all right? All right. Yeah? Is that yes or? Okay. Talk a little louder. How's that? All right. We're going to. Do this. My name is John Otis. I am a firefighter, small business owner, a student, a husband, and a father. Most recently, I became an OTA builder. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in a minute. I grew up in southern Minnesota, but since 1994, I have called Duluth my home. Duluth was once the king of our region, designed to support a population that would rival Chicago. Tycoons of industry flocked to this area to take advantage of our abundant natural resources. Logging and mining brought economic prosperity. Fast forward to the 1980s, our region was being hit with a sagging iron ore economy and with a crippling farm crisis. This sign met people heading south on the freeway. Our population thought that the only way to succeed was to move to a bigger city in another part of the country. This thought continues to this day. There is, however, a better way. My passion is Duluth, to make our community a better place to live, to work, to do business, and to raise a family. Together, we can make a community of possibility. Rather than sending our best and brightest away, we can create a region of opportunity. Minnesota North Dakota, South Dakota. These are the ODA states, or the ODA region. Now the population of these 3 states, minus the 7 counties in the Twin Cities metro area, are equal in population to 2 boroughs, Brooklyn and Manhattan in New York City. In Manhattan, there are over 3,500 creatives per square mile, represented by these BBs. Any guesses on how many creatives live or work per square mile in the ODA region? 3. There are 3 creatives. So if you listen to these collisions, you realize that it's not hard to come in contact with a creative in Manhattan. But here, it's much more difficult. In fact, as I shake this, you see that the BBs start to chase each other around, and they actually never do collide. This is Hugh Weber. He's the founder and curator of ODA. His vision is to connect the creative class throughout our region. Since 2009, ODA has worked to support artists, entrepreneurs, and creatives of all type, working like this magnet to facilitate connections with our creatives in the region. In November, Hugh and his team selected 20 people to become ODA builders. I'm honored to have been selected to be one of those builders. We are tasked with helping facilitate connections in our home areas, as well as connecting our creatives with others throughout the region. Here are a few of the first ODA builders. These are a group of people that are magnets within their communities. There are people like Ashley and Nick Rader from Pemberton, Minnesota, who are restoring a centuries-old farmhouse as a community center for creating. Or people like Adra Kabdi, who is a Somali transplant to Minnesota, who is helping to end human trafficking. Altman Studeni is an artist from Plankinton, South Dakota, who believes that people and ideas are the greatest material to work with. Amy Thuy started a pop-up shop in Millbrook, South Dakota, and has revitalized the downtown area. On March 14th, ODA will be hosting the 9th of its large-scale events to connect creatives from the region under one roof. This event is going to take place in Bismarck, North Dakota, and is going to be a day filled with creativity and inspiration. If you want to find out more, you can go to their website. It's weareoda.com. My work is centered on the idea of collaboration and storytelling. It's been said that the entrepreneur's equivalent to 10,000 hours of mastery is a coffee meeting a week. As I've been doing this work, I quickly realized that something was missing. Your ideas and your conversations have been missing. So going forward, my project will be hosting and curating conversations with bold people who are thinking and acting bigger. My hope is that these conversations will act as a catalyst for more ideas and more conversations. Our success lies in this collaboration. In 2008, I became fed up with the amount of highly processed honey on store shelves. I started Lake Superior Honey Company to offer consumers a choice, something different. Single location, free-foraged honey. Each of our locations is extracted separately. Each jar is hand-labeled with the date and the location of harvest. What this does is it allows the consumer a chance to taste what that particular neighborhood tastes like. It's the concept of terroir, or taste of place. I didn't do this alone. I connected with other beekeepers and business owners, designers, creators, and the public. In 2012, we launched a successful Kickstarter campaign that helped us expand our apiary. I've relied on the power of collaboration to build my brand and to expand opportunities for my business as well as others involved. This collaboration has led to business and friendships with these businesses as well as many others throughout the region. The great thing about collaboration is that it leads to more. Often the collaboration isn't between the original people involved. I have actually found that those people have actually found opportunities with each other. It's created a ripple effect through our community. I believe that collaboration is vital to the success of our region. If we're going to continue our renaissance, our region needs you to be magnets. So I'm going to challenge each of you here today to make a new connection, to collaborate on a new project, and to become magnets. I've got a box of magnets here. I want you to take one and to remind yourself to be magnetic. So let's connect. This is my information. I can't wait to hear your story. Thank you.
Excellent. That goes hand in hand with the book I finished this weekend, Triumph of the City. If you have not read that book, it is absolutely phenomenal and goes exactly with what John was just communicating about. It's what they do at Zappos. Actually, they create a conference every year in Las Vegas around this idea, and I could not agree with it more. A lot of great people here at Club E, and I'll definitely be looking into more Oda Builder stuff. Next, we have Ray coming up to speak and share a little bit about his company.
All right, how do you fast forward this to the next, or I guess it goes through automatically, doesn't it?
Just let me know.
Yeah, when to start. Can you guys hear me okay? Sounds loud to me. Okay, cool. Glad this is short form because I kind of have to pee. Okay, go ahead and start it. Or actually, can I come over there? I have a couple of notes.
Perfect. And then just hit that.
Just hit next when I'm ready to go. Yep. All right, my name is Ray Madison. I'm a tinkerer, maker, automotive enthusiast, soon to be pilot. I'm a student pilot right now. I'm this close. And I guess by degree that qualifies me to be an industrial designer, meaning I use art and technology to build things, to make a sketch come to reality. And that's the reason why we started ProtoHub. Me and my partner, Martin Sawinski, believe that the democratization of technology allows for smaller companies to compete with much larger companies. Products like 3D printing and laser cutting and scanning and a lot of the CAD tools that are available allow the Teslas to go up against the General Motors or the Shinolas to go up against the Rolexes and become big. The catalyst for this is what a lot of people are calling the unindustrial revolution, or the ability to focus on more local or smaller customer bases. One of the things we like to think about is the perfect prosthetic limb only has one customer. So if your business can service one person, you need to stay fluid and be able to do that. Using technology to simplify something complex is another really good tool that you should have in your tool belt. Being able to 3D print the internals of a working watch or even a bridge that moves in a way that is tough to articulate allows you to sell it a lot faster. The ability to take a complex or theoretical idea and solidify it and show it to people is something that is also really powerful. From an artistic standpoint, some products just beg to be canvases. Think guitars and skateboards or anything like that. So the ability to apply artwork to something that would normally be mundane, in our opinions, can really influence a customer's purchasing decision. Purposefully provocative, I like to say, fail fast and fail cheap. And the reason why is sometimes you have that idea that you don't know for sure it's going to work. Well, the ability to try it out really quickly, try multiple iterations of it and go down the path maybe not obviously traveled is something that your competition may not do, and it could give you a leg up. And then finally, to sell it. You really do need to sell your idea. So if you have something, you're sketching it on paper or you're talking about it and waving your hands, to put something in somebody's hands really does help you gain employees, gain investors, and gain future customers. That's, in my opinion, the power of fluid innovation. The catalyst has been a few technologies that we've acquired and are using or are loaning out as a service. One of them is laser cutting. Laser cutting, if you've ever seen it, is basically just a powerful laser that can cut through material up to a ½ an inch thick, or it can decorate a material. To create the files, it's actually pretty easy. All it takes is just an image-based file. So if you want to cut something, you can make a vector cut file on Adobe Illustrator or your program of choice, or if you want to engrave something, just an image is all you need. Really, if you don't have that capability, ProtoHub can actually present the files for you. Some of the stuff that we've done, If you look in Super One Foods, we just finished up some coffee displays for Duluth Coffee. It actually has a retraction reel, a spring-based retraction reel on it. And one of the hard parts about it is we didn't have very much height, so we had to design the mechanism to be just about flat. And we put the spring behind it. We're also working on well, slide's gone. It's 20 seconds, but but it is liberating, I think, for artists as well. The artist can create any sort of artwork and have the machine cut it out to a level of accuracy that there's no way you can do by hand. So in my mind, that is another liberating characteristic of laser cutter. You can cut plastics, wood, fabric. Imagine taking a leather material and putting some sort of an intricate pattern into a purse or anything like that. That could really help your company stand out. And the fact that it's so easy to create the files is another thing that is a good asset to us. 3D printing. If you've ever been on the internet, then you've seen people are trying to 3D print airplanes and cars and everything else. I don't know about the applicability of that, but it really is a good way to tell your story, to illustrate something, and to put something in your hands right away. It is a little bit harder to create files for a 3D printed part, but there are a lot of tools out there. Some of the tools are places like Thingiverse or Google SketchUp, where you can literally download a free program or download a free model and 3D print it out. I just printed out an iPhone and iWatch holder for my wife, and it's sitting on our desk right now. I didn't have to do anything but hit download and hit print, and it goes. We did, Cheryl's here, I didn't know she would be here, but we did wall sconce for her. She was trying to explain to an electrical engineer how that wall sconce would work, how it would look, and have him try to figure out how the wires are going to go through it. So while it's not necessarily usable as a product, it is very, very illustrative in how it works. Finally, the learning opportunities. I think it is something that kids should be exposed to, and they should learn how to use this technology, because I think this technology is going to touch every one of our lives eventually. If not directly, the person that designs your products is going to interface with a 3D printer. Or if you're thinking of buying one, I think that we're the area's experts on it. So you can come to us and we'll give you a buying guide and let you know what technology we're using. For creating files, I want to encourage everybody to make something. And the programs that it takes to make things can be as cheap as free. Download Google SketchUp, design your living room. On Google SketchUp, they actually have a 3D warehouse where you can go and you can download a Target couch or an IKEA desk and move it around the room and see how it works. But really what you're doing is you're learning how to ideate and work on things that don't necessarily exist in real life. And that's really important, to be able to make an idea tangible. Finally, if you do have something that exists, we do have a laser scanner. So if you wanted to iterate based on something that already exists, we can literally take that physical object and use laser and reflective mirrors and cameras to put that inside of the computer. You can measure to a higher level accuracy than you could do by hand, and you can ideate based on that. So that's what I encourage you guys to do. Also, come check us out. I'd like to make honey holders for Lake Superior honey. So thank you guys. I'm Ray Madison, ProtoHub. And I don't know how to take this microphone off. Yeah, all right.
Hey Ray, is this your phone?
That's for you. It's a giveaway.
Yeah, I'll take it. I would love that for my new business phone. All right, next we have Pam coming up.
So I'll throw it up. Okay, so you want to hold it on the back of my pen? We're just getting a little ready here. I like to go hands-free. Great. Thank you. Good. I'm going to move this.
I'll click it and then it'll go to your first slide.
Okay. Can I move this to the side though? Well, hello. I'm really excited to be here today. My name is Pam Solberg Tapper, and I'm a business coach, and I do leadership development trainer and public speaking. The name of my business is Coach for Success, and I help people accomplish their goals and dreams professionally and personally, and also help them with their quality of life. I use my strategy action results, to help people as they move forward, setting strategy to get the results that they want, and I also use it for myself and my business as well. I like to run marathons, and I use the strategy running marathons, and today I'll tell you about some of my marathoning adventures. Wouldn't you agree that the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just that little difference? Wouldn't you agree that when you focus on the finish, you can accomplish far beyond your expectations? And wouldn't you agree when you share what you're up to with others, they have the inspiration to do it themselves? Well, if you don't have a focus on your finish, a goal in mind, you're not going to get there. And today I'm going to share with you some of the finish lines that I have been to around the world and some of the challenges it takes to get to the finish line that I know you'll relate to. Starting out with Antarctica. Getting across the Drake Passage was quite a feat. As you know, it's the convergence of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans at the tip of South America. It took us 3 days to go across in this ship, and I stayed in that little cabin with 2 other women for about 2 weeks. That was our hotel while we were in Antarctica. We went to shore on Zodiacs, about 12 people at a time, to get to the race course. And the temperature wasn't too bad, Minnesota standards, about 28 degrees Fahrenheit, but it was rocky and icy, and not many spectators except for those penguins that you can see in the background that were awfully curious. Even for the elite runners, when we had to climb up this glacier, they had to walk step by step. And so, isn't it true, when you focus on the finish, step by step, you can accomplish things far beyond what you had originally thought that you could. Now, on the flip side of the world, up at the North Pole, the arrow on your right is Oslo, Norway. We had to fly into the center arrow, which is Longyearbyen, Norway, in the Arctic Circle to get to the North Pole. It was a little bit tricky getting there, but thanks to the Russians, they flew us over in an Antonov jet that was outfitted for passengers, 47 of us. The temperature ranged from -25 to -30 below Fahrenheit, and the bunkers and the tents that you see there are only set up for 3 weeks out of the year for expeditions. But we had a lot of luxury because they did put together an outhouse for us, for all 47 of us to use while we were there. Midnight sun, and so the course was a little bit tricky there. We did 12 loops of the same thing, so we got to go through these ice fields 12 times, but we were well protected. We had polar bear guards to guide us. And when there's a will, there's a way we can make it to the finish. It took me 10 hours to get to that finish line. But isn't it true for yourselves, when you focus on the finish, when you put your heart and soul into it, you can make it happen. Getting to the Great Wall of China was pretty easy, but the day before the event, they had us do a mandatory course check because of the difficulty of the wall, 5,000 steps. And you got to opt out of the marathon and into a half marathon if you chose. And what do you do when you have those decisions? You bet on the sure thing, or do you bet on yourself? Well, I was well trained. I bet on myself. During the event, I didn't realize that the heat was going to get me. And my core temperature was up. I had to go sit down, and my plans were dashed. And what do you do when you have a long-term goal and your plans get dashed and you think you're not going to make it? You find a friend. And Eric, that you saw in that last photo, and I wobbled our way in, and we accomplished our goal. When you focus on the finish, you will find the people, you will find the resources, and you will find the wherewithal that you need in order to accomplish your goal, because your brain is wired to get you there. Extraordinary people I've met. The two women in front were going for World Guinness Book of World Records when I met them. One for running the marathon 2 times. It was her second time. around the world. One was to run marathons on all the continents as well as climb the 7 summits. Extraordinary. William Tan, in the middle of the picture, contracted polio when he was a young man, and he was in a wheelchair. He went on to become an internal medicine physician. He went on to become an athlete. He went on to wheel the 7 continents like I did, and he went on to wheel a marathon at the North Pole. He went on to become a motivational speaker, and his message is, do not let your circumstances define who you are. Where do you need a little extraordinary in your life? And you know, when you surround yourself with extraordinary people, you will fly higher and you will go a lot further, like extraordinary people in this room. Richard Donovan, Share Your Victory, was the first one that ran a marathon at the North Pole, and he did it unaided. He didn't have the luxury that I did. He went on to quit his job as an economist and start an adventure marathon company for people like me to be able to travel the world. So at the North Pole, part of the plan was that we would go to geographical North Pole, the North Pole. And as you know, the northern ice cap is 6 to 10 feet deep and it floats around. So they popped us in a helicopter, and Edgar gets out with the GPS and a stick, 90 degrees north, and bam! There I was, on top of the world. I spun myself around, and it was vast. I looked up and down, and there was nothing. It was midnight sun. It was 2 in the morning. And then I started feeling small and wondering who I was and what am I doing to make a difference. Don't you ask yourself those questions? What is your existence? And then I said to myself, I need to make every step count. I need to make every minute count. I need to make my life count. And like Marianne Williamson tells us, let your light shine so you can give permission to other people to do the same. Share your victory. So keep making a difference in the world. You are talented entrepreneurs and business people that can really make a difference. And while you do, remember to focus on the finish, be extraordinary, and share your victory with others so they can do the same. Thank you.
I'll bring it back to you. Okay. Okay. What was it? Just hit that one? Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to cheat a little bit and have some notes for myself up on my computer. So give me 1 second here. Okay, all right. Well, thank you for letting me present today. This is my first time doing a Pechakucha, so a little nervous, but I think we'll get through it here. So my name is Carolyn Adams. I'm co-owner of North Point Geographic Solutions here in Duluth, Minnesota. And North Point Geographic Solutions does GIS, mapping, and cartography. I got into that by kind of by accident. My husband started the company, and we decided to join forces and join some of our skill sets together and run the company together. Let's see, I don't know if that's, okay. So I don't think it's advancing. Technical issue, hold on. I think I can set it for the, there we go. Is that the 20 seconds? Okay, great. So the presentation I'm giving today is Here There Be Dragons. I selected this because early cartographers used to use phrases like there be dragons to identify locations on maps where there were unknown or unexplored territories. So I hope to show you today not only some really cool maps, but also how since the time that humans could be recognized as humans, we've been fascinated with knowing where we are in the world. And despite the threat of potential dragons out there, we still persevered and explored unexplored areas, and we continue to investigate our world in order to better understand our place in the universe. One second. I'm gonna set it to. I apologize here. I'm gonna just set it the timer. There we go. There we go. All right. So moving on. All right. I think I can. There we go. Little technical difficulty using a little bit of new technology. There we go. Okay, now if you put it on autoplay. Thank you for the patience. I think once we, yeah, there we go. So now if you start it, go. And there we go. All right. Okay. So since the time of, so if you're about 65,000 years ago, if you were an ancient human, you were a hunter and gatherer. And so your world probably consisted of finding food, finding shelter, finding water, and not getting eaten by the random saber-toothed tiger. So needless to say, people moved around a lot, and the point of that slide was that some of the early cave paintings people felt may have been maps indicating where food sources were, kind of like an early Yelp. As we moved on, the ancient Egyptians were also interested in maps, and they were interested in the afterlife. This is an image of the Book of the Dead that was a map of how we can navigate through the afterlife. Early city maps. Not everyone was interested in just looking at the great beyond, so some ancient cultures took a more pragmatic approach, started mapping cities. Some of these early maps also included things like resource locations, other natural features, and started looking at also military. As we move on to the Greeks, they became interested in observing the stars and identifying constellations. So not only were these great for good storytelling, but also they were applicable because if they knew where certain stars were at certain times of the year, they were able to start navigating the oceans as well as the land. So one Greek philosopher, Anaximander, he began expanding the geographical boundaries by creating maps that included other countries, surrounding areas. So this is an example of an early map. And he didn't know much what lay beyond other than there were mythical creatures to the north. But it was early evidence of how we were starting to map more of the globe and expand our surroundings. So this is the Mappa Mundi that we got to in the medieval times. And this was actually a map of the whole world at that time. And it had varieties of styles, some of them even showing climate zones, which was pretty impressive for 700 years ago. As we moved into the Renaissance, we get up to the Mercator map. So by this time, we needed to have more detailed maps because exploration was starting to happen with the oceans, so we needed to have that accurate navigation. As you can see, we start to get more of the accurate navigation there, which led us across the ocean, where we perhaps encountered a few dragons on the way, but as you can see, we started expanding our maps here, although we still had no idea what was going on west of the Mississippi for the most part. But that was soon to be remedied with increased transportation, where railroads necessitated the need to have railroad maps. And suddenly we're building all the way across the country. We needed to know exactly where resources were going. And people could now move in great distances in relatively short amounts of time. Supplies could be transported, and we grew and expanded our cities. So now that we had all these great resources, now we wanted to grow and expand and trade them all over the world. So not with just our country, but outside of our own country. So maps really helped us to understand those relationships and open up a global economy. As transportation again evolved, we suddenly had the need for highway maps. So now we could expand even further with our understanding of roads. We could get off the beaten path by including smaller roads in our maps, and those printed highway maps were pretty good for a long time, but savvy drivers could use them well, but sometimes some of us needed a little more guidance, and so now we get to the point where we could just type in something on Google or MapQuest, and you type in your directions, and you have a printout of exactly where you need to go, because I know all of us probably did that at one point, printed out our directions, but then that wasn't even good enough. So once again, technology stepped in. Now we have the live GPS navigation devices with our smartphones. They'll talk to us, they'll tell us exactly where to turn, and you can even do it with your favorite popular movie like Star Wars, showing your location of where you're at. So we get into the global maps. So now we have a very detailed understanding of our whole world. So with Google Earth, allowing us to have these detailed understandings and pictures. You don't even have to travel to a certain location to know what's there and to take these 3D tours of specific locations. So we have a lot of information on the location, the what or the where of where things are. But now we're living in the IT age, where we have all this technology. So this is where we want to take cartography and join it up with computer programming to tell you not only the where, but also the who, the what, the why, the how. And so these are some examples of some applications that give you some more detailed information. It's allowing you to go deeper and further into that data. This one is an example of shelter locations, so you could actively real-time track where shelter status locations are. We also get into 3D mapping, which kind of goes along with Ray's work that he's been doing, but we have the capability now to three-dimensionally map cities, which is helpful for planners to be able to design cities in advance. You can actually see what it's going to look like and what some of the impacts are going to be. So in a 3D city, you can build the entire city three-dimensionally. You can add and remove buildings. You can include other types of infrastructure for making decisions. So this is a really fascinating technology in order to appropriately figure out where you want to appropriate different funds. And finally, I don't want to just go on the utilitarian side of where mapping is at these days. We also have a more creative side with story maps. So this is an example of a story map that we created at North Point for the recent Outside Magazine contest for the best outdoor city. And that story map allows you to interact. You can see lots of pictures. You get a lot more detail and information, and it really tells the story of a particular area. So to summarize, with the help of maps, humans, that we've come a long way in our location journey, and we fortunately do still have a long way to go. And I say that because it means that we can always continue improving our knowledge, ourselves, and ultimately our world. And so I think there's still going to probably be some dragons out there that we might have to overcome, but the rewards for taking steps into the unknown